Hello, I'm Sean, and welcome to LiveBandsTouring.com Artist Interviews. Today we're here with a singer-songwriter from the New York area, but she also tours in the Connecticut area, Cassandra Kubinski, and her guitarist, James Adamo. Tell us a little bit more about your style of music and what it's about.
I do what we like to call acoustic rock. And it has some jazz and some blues touches to it. Some people say it has a little country, but I think that that it's acoustic rock with an emphasis on storytelling and on kind of bittersweet relationship stories.
Very cool, very cool. Who are your biggest influences and why?
Biggest influences, man. Billy Joel, number one, first and foremost. That guy was such a musical chameleon, and my parents had all his records, so growing up I listened to all of his records. And then when I started writing songs, probably I got more into the singer-songwriters who were coming up at that time, who inspired me not only to do the actual music but also to see myself in the in the business, like Norah Jones and John Mayer, Vanessa Carlton at that time, I think, as well. So people like that, mostly singer-songwriters, but Dave Matthews Band, Aerosmith, bands like that as well.
Awesome. Awesome, great bands.
Yeah.
Now you've got a new album out called Hold the Sun. Tell us a little more about what's behind the name Hold the Sun and a little more about the album.
Hold the Sun. All right. Hold the Sun. We played with with a lot of names, some of which I won't share as possible names for the album. But Hold the Sun. I ended up choosing that name because, first of all, at that time in my life, I was sort of figuring out a lot of things and figuring out what actually mattered to me. And was it fame? Was it just making music? Would I be okay with being the kind of artist who had a day job and just made music on the side? Which ultimately, of course, the answer was no. But it came down to, I love the sun. I'm a Leo. If anybody's into astrology, it's my sun sign, and I am a child of summer, and I love the sun. So Hold the Sun was kind of like a embrace your passion, I guess. That sounds really cheesy. It didn't seem like that to me at the time, but so it was like that, as well as it's the second to last line in the chorus of the song "Cradle the Moon," which is one of the bigger songs off the album. So. That's where that came from.
Cool. Now you had an album out in 2005, I believe it was, called Hiding Underneath. Now how does Hold the Sun compare to that album?
They're not, I wouldn't say that they're night and day, but first of all, Hold the Sun is a lot longer. It's a full-length album, and Hiding Underneath was an EP. Second of all, Hiding Underneath, I thought, introduced people really well to my style of piano playing and to my voice, but it was also the first album I had done totally in the studio, with professional musicians and the intention of releasing it commercially. So, it sounds great, I think, but it sounds a little more on the pop side. Hold the Sun is definitely more on the rock side, would you say? With some more jazz and that kind of influences to it. And I think that, so, as an artist, I feel like I grew from Hiding Underneath to Hold the Sun, but much more so as a songwriter. I feel like what's on Hold the Sun is the songs are more personal, they're more visual, they're just more me, and they represent a wider cross-section of who I am and what I'm about. So, lots of differences. I still love Hiding Underneath, but Hold the Sun, when people ask me, what do you do? If I were to give them one, I would definitely give them Hold the Sun.
Right on. Awesome. Awesome. So I have a couple questions for James.
All right.
James, you're a pretty accomplished musician yourself. You've opened for people like the Derek Trucks Band, the Samples, Jay Giles too, right?
Yep.
With the band Dr. Pocket, right?
Right.
Now, what is it like to play in this genre with Cassandra as opposed to a jam band?
Well, jam bands, especially the one that I was in, is a lot about improvisation, and rather than a focus on great songwriting. I'm not saying that for every jam band, but the one that I was in. And there is an element of improvisation with Cassandra. I mean, still get to play the occasional guitar solo. But it's right now, as far as my guitar playing, it's more about writing a good part that kind of emphasizes, not emphasizes, but just helps the Cassie's songwriting. And it's just as challenging as ripping a 5-minute solo, you know? So it's different, and I really like it because it's where I've grown as a musician, moving towards the more acoustic playing the acoustic guitar rather than the electric.
Very cool.
Although I do play electric on Hold the Sun.
Right on, right on. Now you've got a new EP out yourself. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, the EP is called Piece It Together, and it's 6 songs that I wrote, and I just finished it this July. It's all home recording, and a lot of care went into it. I'm very happy to have it out, singing and playing all the guitars on it, and there's some great musicians that back me up on that album. It's a full band, and yeah, it's out now, and I'm selling it at shows when I play with Cassandra.
Cool. Very cool. So now, Cassandra, you started performing at a very, very young age.
Yes.
You were in Annie at the Goodspeed Opera House in upstate Connecticut there. You were also in the TV show Spin City with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, that was cool.
And the film Finding Forrester with Sean Connery. Now, do you prefer being a musical artist or film? Which do you prefer more?
They're totally different. People often ask me that question because I think in most people's minds you have to make a decision. And I feel often the pressure of making that decision one way or the other, especially more towards the beginning of a career. You know, because I did, like you mentioned, I had kind of a career going in theater, and I went to Florida State and kind of switched gears and moved to New York City to be a songwriter. So it's music for me now, you know, and the reason for that is that I'm in control of it. You know, with acting, I think, for me, in my experience, you audition and people give you parts based on what they think you're right for. With music, I book shows, I go out, I play. We have a huge, diverse crowd. You know, we've got 8-year-olds who have us sign CDs for them after the shows, and we've got, 60-year-olds who show up and say, I read about you in the paper and I'm coming, so it's really cool having that wide a cross section and knowing that even if it's 4 people in the crowd, like sometimes it, has been, that those 4 people are walking away with a piece of you and that maybe you've had a chance to influence them and no one had to give me permission to do it. No one had to cast me in the role. I just show up and hopefully be me and put on the best show that I can put on every single time out. And that really is satisfying to me now. So
Awesome.
To see more of Cassandra and her performance at this show, watch part 2 of this interview at youtube.com/live bands touring.